What if Red Hood found himself in the boys' universe? No Batman, no Justice League, just corruption, unchecked power, and the most twisted version of superhero celebrity culture. Spoiler: Red Hood would absolutely wreck shop. But the real question is, could he take down the Seven? The most dangerous and egotistical soup corporate America that the world of the boys universe just happens to have. Let's talk about it. So, if we just set the stage and just have, Red Hood meets Vought Tower, or however you want to call it, we just kind of automatically start off with this. Jason Todd, aka Red Hood, isn't just another vigilante. He is a ticking time bomb of pain, precision, and purpose. He's a trained killer with military grade strategy, League of Assassins martial expertise, and an unwavering resolve forged by death and resurrection. Drop him into the universe of the boys, a place where superheroism is basically just marketing and fluff, and the only real power lies in media manipulation. Jason Todd wouldn't just merely survive, he'd thrive. And not just that, he'd absolutely dismantle everything Vought stands for, brick by corporate brick. In a world where people like Billy Butcher and Frenchie operate with guerrilla tactics, Jason fits right in. And he doesn't need a team, though he'd use one if it helped him win. His methods would be surgical, brutal, and unforgiving. His code, simple: take down corrupt people before they spread their poison. Compared to Butcher's rage and Huey's naivety, Red Hood would be more cold and clinical, less brute force than Butcher, but far more efficient. And the best part, he knows what it means to lose himself and come back stronger. The experience gives him a more ruthless edge and a level of control that makes him even more dangerous in a morally bankrupt world. Just imagine the chaos when Jason Todd first enters the boys' universe. He'd hit the ground running, gathering intel, studying Vought's power structure, and identifying key players. We obviously can just assume that due to the fact that he was raised by somebody like Bruce Wayne, he would already has experience traveling in interdimensional things just due to the fact that the DC universe tends to do that fairly often. And he would automatically just want to gather the intel, figure out what's going on, what kind of world that he's in, and eventually figure out that heroes exist and figure out the kind of world that this place truly is, not the kind of place that normal people just think that the heroes are or normal people would assume about. So he would start doing, as I said, gather intel, study Vought's power structure, and identify key players. His detective instincts would quickly lead him to the corruption behind the Supes. Unlike others who might be awestruck and overwhelmed, Jason would be disgusted but focused. He'd start small, dismantling local Vought operation, targeting labs, silencing corporate officials, and exposing low-level Supes engaged in crimes. Every action would send a message. Someone's new in town, and he's not here to play games. He wouldn't announce himself at all. There would be no viral videos or flashy entrances, just quiet, strategic strikes. Vought would obviously feel it before they would even know who it was. Security breaches, dead Supes, exposed secrets. That's how Red Hood moves, like a ghost with a vendetta. And once they finally realize who'd be behind it, it would most likely be too late. Because we already know the kind of person that Red Hood is. We saw it in Under the Red Hood and the kind of person that he truly becomes when he needs to be. We know that he can completely dismantle an entire underworld organization and then quite literally lead that entire group just by taking care of everybody that he doesn't want to deal with. And he just takes care of all the bosses and makes sure that he's the one in charge. He sets the table. He sets the structure. And he's going to be playing with Vought with some kind of hilariousness. But before we get into how I would actively see him dealing with the entirety of the Seven and whether the fact of could he actively defeat them, let's actively just discuss what his skill set and abilities actively are. Jason isn't just a guy with guns. He's one of the most skilled hand-to-hand combatants in the entirety of the DC universe. Trained by Batman and the League of Assassins, he's mastered over a dozen different martial arts. He's an expert marksman and possesses tactical genius. He has operated in several war zones, tracked down superhuman targets, and survived against the likes of Deathstroke, Ra's al Ghul, and even Batman himself. His detective skills may not be on Bruce's level, but he is no slouch either. Jason can hack security systems, analyze forensic data, and, strategize several moves ahead of his enemies with even the best of people in his own world. When Batman trains you, he's going to make sure you're well rounded in every facet, even if you're not to the levels of some of the other guys. Everyone has their specific specialties, and obviously we know people like Tim Drake would be able to hack far better than Jason ever could. But that does not mean Jason's not going to be able to actively do what needs to be done in the best way possible just to get his entire things set up the way that he needs them to. And obviously, knowing Jason, we also have to talk about that fact that his weapons arsenal includes so many different things, including custom handguns, electrified excrement sticks, explosive charges, smoke bombs, tranquilizers, stealth tech, and even energy-based gadgets when necessary. He also wears advanced body armor capable of absorbing superhuman blows and resisting firepower. His pain tolerance is absolutely legendary. Jason has obviously been tortured by very highly devious people, and he's been beaten, tortured, and even killed, only to come back to life even stronger and more dangerous. In the world of the boys, that kind of grit and resilience makes him a one-man army and a force of absolute nature. Jason's mind is really just as much of a weapon as any gadget that he carries. He's a master tactician who has planned multi-tier attacks and manipulated entire criminal organizations. And he doesn't just plan for, plan A or plan B. He has contingencies for obviously many, very, very, very many possibilities. He's Batman's son after all. And obviously, not real son. Because some people will say it even though, don't just say it. But when it comes to improvisation, in the heat of battle, few people can match his instincts also. He turns weaknesses into opportunity and chaos into strategy. Now, with all of that said, let's break down how Red Hood versus the Seven would go. And let's actively talk about, could Red Hood take down the Seven? And obviously, I'm just going to say absolutely. But let's go down by every member one by one. Starting off with A-Train. And we all know speedsters are always going to be tricky, but Jason has fought Flash-adjacent threats before, between explosive traps, sonic disruptors, and even environmental manipulation. A-Train wouldn't stand a chance against Red Hood's entire cold calculation. He'd use hero arrogance against him, cornering him in a moment of overconfidence. One broken leg, and it's game over. Jason might even bait him into a confined area rigged with pressure-sensitive mines or electromagnetic pulses that disturb movement or whatever. Jason would plan for each and every one of these heroes very precisely. Now, moving on to the Deep, this isn't even a contest. Jason even wouldn't really view him as a threat. He'd maybe lock him in a fish tank just to make a point, but he's not going to be outclassed. He's going to be very much viewing the Deep as irrelevant, and Jason would ignore him or literally just use him as bait. And I know, why are you hating on the Deep so much? Obviously fair reasons, but Jason's not going to be able to deal with the Deep. Deep has super strength and all these things. The Bat family aren't normal humans. No matter what they say, those Tibetan monks did something to him and all of these Bat family members, because the things that they can survive in the first place, Deep ain't handling that. And the way that Jason already has very, very highly explosive things, he's going to have something that can counteract the Deep and anyone in the entirety of really any situation of these people. Now, moving on to the next, we could talk about Black Noir. And this is actually a real test. Silent, brutal, extremely dangerous, Black Noir operates like a ghost. But Jason is no stranger to silent assassins. he was one. This would be a chess match between two elite killers, and it would likely go the distance. But like Red Hood's improvisation skills, trap setting, and relentless nature might give him a razor thin edge. It would be brutal, and it would be dirty, and it would end in the dark with Jason winning anyways, and just Jason walking away. This would honestly be one of the most hardest matches that I could possibly come up with, just due to the fact that they do have a lot of similar aspects. Obviously, Black Noir being a Batman replacement for the Boys universe in the way that they kind of do things. So it would just be interesting to see this kind of fight play out. And obviously, we're going to go him having to go up against the Seven. We're going to have to talk about every member that's been in the Seven, or every member that I want to talk about that's been in the Seven, skipping a couple just for reasons that I'm not going to even bother getting into. But if we go into Starlight, Red Hood doesn't kill the innocent. He'd see Starlight as somebody worth saving. In fact, he might be the first member, she might be the first member of the Seven he tries to recruit. He'd find common ground in their mutual disillusionment with the hero culture, expect a reluctant alliance and not a real big showdown. And Jason's pragmatic side would know turning her could give him more leverage inside of Vought, so he would use that for his own betterment anyways. Now, going on to Maeve, this would be honestly a little more interesting due to the fact that she has been shown to, go against Vought at some point, but she still did a lot of the things with Homelander in the first place, so he probably still have to fight her at some point. But we know Maeve is strong, experienced, and burnt out. Jason would see the weight she carries, the trauma behind her eyes. He tried diplomacy, offering a chance to do real good, but if she stood in his way, he's not going to hesitate. With EMP grenades, tactical explosives, whatever kind of things that he could possibly think of, red, kryptonite like energy dampeners, or whatever he has in his arsenal, which he's going to have something in his arsenal, obviously. He'd find a way to neutralize her power advantage, or just have a lot of different things in his arsenal that's going to be able to take care of this kind of thing. Whether he just makes very specialized bullets to actively, pierce through her very durable skin, their battle would be very well as emotional as it is physical. Jason pushing her to face who she really is beneath that hero act that all of these people put on. And if we're going to somebody like Translucent next, invisible skin isn't invincible. We've quite literally seen Translucent already die, and Jason's not going to do the exact same method, but I really do think that it would take time, but Jason's detective instincts would lead him to the weakness. Carbon skin, fine. But what about internal damage, sound waves, electromagnetic pulses, or even explosives planted where it counts? Once he figures it out, it's over. And Jason would take him out with clinical precision and zero remorse. And now, the ultimate threat. Jason, Red Hood versus Homelander. And we're going to have to be honest here. Jason does not stand a chance to win this fight head on against somebody with laser eyes and I'm not even going to say Superman level strength. He doesn't. But in a straight up fight, this is, not going to be very much in Jason's favor. And so he'd have to come out and do some other things. He wouldn't even, try to go head up just the way to be an idiot. He'd dig into Homelander's psyche, the insecurity. He'd need time for, the need that Homelander has for love and adoration. Jason would expose every single dirty little secret that Vought has buried. He'd leak footage, bribe media execs, sow seeds of doubt in the public, and psychologically destabilize this golden god of the Boys universe. Maybe even inject himself with Compound V to level the field, but probably not. And the final blow wouldn't just be a bullet. It'd be Homelander's empire crumbling beneath the weight of truth. And obviously, we know, taking away everything that Homelander has to offer, what does he have left? He has nothing left to lose, so he's willing to risk it all. So if that doesn't work, getting Homelander out of the way, Jason would just go for something darker. He'd lure Homelander into a trap that uses his own ego and rage against him. Maybe he locks Homelander in a reinforced facility using a serum to temporarily nullify his powers, or especially in a situation where now we know that there is poison that kills Supes. He would find that poison, because I highly really think that he would be able to find that kind of poison, and really once he does some searching in the first place of all of these things, he would find the poison, probably connect with the boys and create that kind of enhanced version of the poison well faster, and actively lock Homelander in a room until the point that he can just kill him off like that. And if we're being fair, he could quite literally just do that with the entirety of the seven if they're all grouped up together. Just put them into a room, airlock the entire room to the point that they can't get out extremely fast, and just drop that entire serum and poison in the room, which he doesn't have compound V, so he's not going to be affected, but all of them do. He will be able to get them down extremely fast and just take them in the quickest and most efficient way possible. And this would be very, very easy for somebody like him, because he's gonna know exactly what to do to make this the most painless way possible without him having to, get extremely hurt in the process. And obviously, if he's gonna be taking down the boys, if he's gonna be taking down the seven, we know that he's gonna end up meeting the boys. And Jason wouldn't just cross paths with Billy Butcher. I truly see a possibility of him earning respect, or honestly, these two have a very much toss-up relationship. This relationship is so in the air because of the fact that Butcher is just so chaotic. I don't know how Jason's going to be reacting to him. I honestly see him decently interacting with a good portion of the team, Kamiko, Frenchie, maybe, and MM. Like, I see him having a good relationship with most of the people, or at least somewhat decent terms, especially when he learns that they're trying to stop the Supes and actively doing a lot of the things that should be doing, just not in the best way possible. He'd possibly just eventually get them on the right track, but he would most likely clash with Butcher over methods, even though they share the same goal. Take down Vought. He and Butcher would kind of be seeing that point of Bruce has that, no kill rule, which Jason doesn't have, but he doesn't go to the absolute insanity links of just let's kill every single person. Let's just kill all of the Supes. Get rid of them all. All of that chaotic energy that Butcher has. Jason isn't that exact kind of person. He's more strategic. So I see a full situation of Huey looking up to him, through thinking Jason of more of what Butcher could possibly be if he was more sane, and Jason might warn him not to become like him. Frenchie and Kimiko, Jason would recognize the value of having them as allies, especially for Black Op mission styles like that. Would respect Jason's discipline even if they butt heads on morality, and while Jason could run solo, he'd likely end up working with the boys. Not out of camaraderie, but out of efficiency. He'd keep them at an arm's length, but deep down, he'd see them in the same rage, in the same loss as a good couple other people. And the shared trauma could become, a very big bond or fracture. In their world, Jason would serve as a balancing force, someone who operates in the gray, but never loses sight of his mission. Over time, Jason might even influence the boys to refine their tactics, becoming less reckless, more surgical. In return, their intensity could remind Jason of the fire that he once had. That push and pull would create a team dynamic unlike anything the boys had before. And then, he wouldn't just stop at taking down the seven. The real war would be against Vought itself. He'd hack several servers, or at least have Frenchie help him out in that specific fact if he's not able to do all the work, or at least hack the full extent of it. expose their files, unravel every little dirty secret Vought has to offer. The company lies, their experiments, their cover ups. Jason would drag it all into the light. He wouldn't just fight the Supes, he'd target their puppet masters. CEOs, board members, corrupt scientists, all marked. He'd infiltrate labs producing Compound V, blow up shipment lines, and leak confidential data to whistleblowers and journalists. He turns Vought Empire into a ticking time bomb. By the time that the world would realize who's behind it, their trust in Supes would already be broken. Vought wouldn't just lose control, they'd lose credibility, power, and even their entire narrative. Jason's final act might not even be violence, it would just be truth. The kind of truth that destroys legacies. And when Vought falls, the world would never look at heroes the same way again. There might be some heroes that, still stand through the light, like Starlight, like a couple heroes that actively chose the right side, but those heroes are very much few and far between, and we would see people actively understand that the people that they had all this faith in just abused the power anyways. So now they would actually have to be what they wanted to be. They would actually have to prove that they can be heroes in a light that doesn't have all of this corporate oversight in front of them. Being heroes for the sake of helping people. Nothing else. And that is the true thing that I have to say. Because could Jason take down the Seven? No doubt about it. It wouldn't be clean, it wouldn't be noble, but in a world run by corporations and unbeatable gods and capes, air quotes, because for being fair, the DC universe is a very big difference from the boys universe. Jason Todd would be a nightmare Vought never saw coming. He'd infiltrate, dismantle, and destroy. He'd weaponize secrets, destable minds, and recruit the disillusioned. He'd break the Seven, not with brute force, but with relentless resolve. Because in the boys' universe, the real threat to power isn't just another Supe. It's a man with nothing left to lose. No rules, and a mission fueled by pain. And that man, that's the Red Hood. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell for more videos like this. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and if you guys have any other ideas that you guys might want to see, put them down in the comment section below. I hope you guys did enjoy this, but I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.